What happens in Georgia gets revealed one by one as the facts are unsealed. From the pit comes what they don't want you to see. When the daily nugget of truth is dropped with your host, BKP.
Hello, folks. Let me get this together here. I'm your host, BKP. It is February 9th, 2026. It is the day after the Super Bowl. Welcome, BKP Politics. Another day of a nugget of truth here in Georgia. So, because it was the Super Bowl and Bad Bunny and Turning Point USA halftime show, we are living in the divided America that no matter what the subject is, you have to pick a side. This says NFL. So I'm going to give you a chance right now before we really get started into today's show. If this offends you, you can get out. You can get out now. But this says NFL, and I received this for Christmas. Do you see what that is? That says Redskins. This is the NFL Washington Redskins hat. I received that for Christmas. I just thought you might want to know that. Okay, let me go over the list of many things we have this Monday morning. So I did watch the Super Bowl. Congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks. The Pats went down. Drake May, he had happy feet. And no, he was not ready. He was not ready for the big stage. And the Pats went down. And again, congratulations to the Seahawks. The commercials were absolutely terrible. They just were. I know everybody loved the Budweiser and Eagle commercial. I know you like that one. Some people like the Dunkin' Donuts. But whatever it may be, the commercials were terrible. The halftime show, Big Bunny. But then you flipped over to Turning Point USA and their halftime show. It was okay. I watched it. It was all right. But that brings us to Monday morning, back to politics here in Georgia. Let me give you a couple things I want to talk about. Now, just so you know, we are posting daily now. It's taking me up into the middle of the day to prepare my show. I'm producing my own work. I'm trying to learn how to frame and size all the graphics. I've got to get with Diane. Diane is supposed to give me a full course on how to do this, but I haven't scheduled that. So it's taking me a little longer in the morning to get the show prepared. But this is going to have a lot. So let me tell you what we're doing. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl a little later. We're going to talk about the 11th District. Now, the Georgia 11th Congressional District, Barry Loudermilk, the congressman, is not seeking reelection. There is a new candidate in the race. I say new because there has been a declared candidate for quite some time that the AJC will not recognize. So we're going to talk about the 11th District. We're going to talk about Jon Ossoff, Senator, U.S. Senator here in Georgia, a Democrat. We have 2 Democrat senators in Georgia. He had a big kickoff rally. And his line that he used Saturday that was written for him, he got to test it. It will make Democrat platforms everywhere in this upcoming midterm election. He said the Epstein class. He called Republicans the Epstein class. Ooh, that was tough. We're going to talk about the Georgia 14th Congressional District. There are a lot of endorsements right now. So, Georgia, we're going to actually circle around endorsements and what they mean in a campaign, particularly President Trump. Now, I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm going to put it to you right this minute. President Trump's endorsement has lost value. It has. And I'm going to show you why today. Now, while we're talking about the 14th district, that's Marjorie Taylor Greene resigned. Said, I'm out of here. Then we're going to talk about State Senate District 51. We'll get into that in a minute. That is State Senator Steve Gooch, who is running for lieutenant governor, where a Georgia House rep is stepping up for that seat. But he got a little bit of a surprise last week when someone entered the race and he started losing endorsements. That candidate, that state rep that wants State Senate District 51. We're going to talk about that one. We're going to talk about State Senate District 18 down there around Macon. We have a February 17th runoff election down there, special election. And let's see what else we have. Oh, I know what we have. We have the governor. Georgia Republican primary governor's race. It got turned upside down last week when Jackson Healthcare. I don't want to say, I apologize, I'm going to get it straight, not pharmaceuticals. Rick Jackson owns the only, amoxicillin. They produce amoxicillin, right? An antibiotic. He owns the only U.S. antibiotic manufacturer. Everything else comes from China. Rick Jackson Healthcare, entered the governor's race last week and turned it upside down. We're going to show you everything, folks. And we're going to not just show you, we're going to explain it to you. And what I mean by that is he turned it upside down to the point. Did you see, if you watched the Super Bowl yesterday, did you see a Rick Jackson ad anywhere? Oh, I sure did. In fact, he's turned it upside down, going straight for the MAGA Trump base, to where Burt Jones, the lieutenant governor running for governor, endorsed by Donald Trump, had to put out his first media buy. I understand it's his first media buy in a commercial to remind people he is endorsed by Donald Trump. And there's some polling out in that race. So let's get started here. And I have, folks, let me just say this, all right? Before we get started, we are publishing every day on Substack. VORA, V-O-R-A, Voice of Rural America, VORA on Substack, at BKP Politics. Every day we publish this video. Every day we upload to our Rumble channel, Voice of Rural America. We take our Voice of Rural America Rumble, we put it on X, Voice of Rural America. We also put our Rumble Voice of Rural America over on our Facebook page, Voice of Rural America. So you can find us everywhere. And these segments are going up every single day, 5 days a week. Probably start doing some Saturday and Sunday segments. Probably not too many Sunday segments. I shouldn't have said that. If my mom hears this, she'll call me. As the election, as campaigns tighten up when we get closer to election month, right, season, so we have. And so you can find us. We publish and we put it out there until some of my graphics are a little off. But I want to remind you of something with our I have to go back and forth here to look and see, make sure I know what I'm looking for. I have it here just a minute ago. It won't take me but a second. I don't have a lot of pictures. All right, so let's see what I have here. Don't forget, as we talk, and we'll bring this back up in a minute, Donald Trump spent. Now, this is President Trump. Like I said, we're not attacking, right? But this is President Trump with Lindsey Graham. Now, this is Lindsey Graham enjoying Super Bowl with President Trump and team. Now, I'm going to tell you something. And the reason I bring this up to start, we are, when I say we are dealing with selective acceptance. I mean, there was a time you and I would not accept this because I'm on social media, and I have, and it's actually laughable. I am laughing out loud because I have one post on social media where someone is saying, "Oh, Rick Jackson, he is big pharma." Okay? Rick Jackson, he likes Nikki Haley. He likes Jeb Bush. He likes Jeff Duncan. I'm like, okay, all right. But the same post, and I want to make sure you're very aware I'm not endorsing, but the same post I see, not one says, hey, Trump loves a warmonger. Well, are you mad at me? We are, and not me, but some of us, we have that what I call comfortable sin. Yeah, we're comfortable. We pick and choose our comfort level in our sin. I just said that, right? It works for me. Well, I know that's wrong, but it works for me. I'm comfortable. It helps me get out, right? So let's not forget, as we get into endorsements today, and you shall see, President Trump has sadly diluted the value of his endorsement. Because Burt Jones running for governor in Georgia, and I like Lieutenant Governor Jones, but we talk politics, we talk facts. We will not carry a politician's water. We will not. We're not in the tank, and we're going to bring it to you, right? So Burt Jones has an ad buy having to remind you he's endorsed by the same guy that endorsed Lindsey Graham. Just saying. Now, you can decide your own right and wrong in life. That's not my place. It's my place to deal with myself. But what I hear, I've never met Lindsey Graham, but what I hear is he's a gay alcoholic. Back in the 70s, we called it an eligible bachelor. Now, whoa. No, I'm not attacking gay. I'm just telling you. That's what I hear. I hear South Carolina, U.S. Senator. In fact, there was a video that went around last week of Lindsey Graham, and the caption said on the video, I don't know if it was AI generated. I don't know if they slowed the video down to slur his speech, but there was a lot of talk on X that he did an interview. Is it inebriated? Is that what it is? Drunk. That's what it was say. That's all I'm saying. So he enjoyed Super Bowl. Just want to put this up. Now, there's two things I want to say. I will not watch the Super Bowl with you if I don't like you. Boy, I'm going to roll. I'm going to have so much fun today. I will not watch the Super Bowl with you if I don't like you. I won't. I will not play golf with you. Wait a minute. Business. Making a deal. Playing around the golf. But realistically, he plays a lot of golf with Lindsey. Lindsey's a warmonger. Lindsey wants to attack Iran at any time. All right? And he's down there with Trump watching the Super Bowl. Oh, let's get back to what we started with. Don't forget, Donald Trump has endorsed Lindsey Graham against a very strong America First MAGA candidate running for U.S. Senate in South Carolina. So, since we established that, let's go right into, and I might have to resize some of my pictures on the fly. So let's go into the 14th district briefly here. Let's start with the 14th district. So, number 22 here, Jim Jordan. Now, the 14th district to replace Marjorie Taylor Greene. As I said to you the other day, last week before we left in Friday's segment, I told you, right? Colton Moore may find the courage to look at the legislation with constitutional eyes, and he may be too close to Massey. We'll show you that in a minute, Thomas Massey, that all hands on deck, we got to have Clay Fuller. Now, there's 19 different candidates. Clay is up there in the top of the state in the 14th district, close to Tennessee. He's actually the district attorney in the same area as Colton Moore. Someone called me a month ago. We'll go back a month ago. And I said to this individual, they said, who do you think's the front runner? I mean, we got 22 candidates. We got 3 Democrats. We'll talk about that later in the week. And someone said, who is the front runner? And I told this individual, this is over in the 14th district, I said, start watching Who the Money and the Swamp DC Gets Behind. Start watching that. That's the only thing you want to pay attention to. Not who I think the front runner is, who you think the front runner, who it should be, who Trump should endorse. Pay attention to the swamp. And who do they want to add as a new creature to the swamp? And it turns out to be Clay Fuller. Now, I've never met Clay Fuller. He may be a very nice guy. But as you can see, what do we have here? We've got Clay Fuller's endorsed by Jim Jordan. Okay. And then what we have? We have number 23 here. I have 23 here. You have, I don't know what you have on the screen. It is my great honor to endorse America First patriot Clay Fuller, who is running to represent the wonderful people of the 14th Congressional District as District Attorney for Lookout Mountain Judicial Circuit and Air National Guard officer. Clay knows the wisdom and courage required to defend our country. Well, yes, we respect his military service, but he's an attorney. How many more attorneys do we have to send to Washington, D.C.? Oh, no, look! Mike Johnson has endorsed. Speaker Mike Johnson has endorsed Clay Fuller in the 14th District. Now, Mike Johnson, I told you this Friday. They want a candidate, and this is Clay Fuller. They want a candidate that they pick up the phone, they call his chief of staff, and they say, here's your schedule this week. Here's who you're going to talk to. Here's who you can't talk to. You cannot do this interview. Here is your talking points for the week. Do not veer off them. And when we have these votes that are on the calendar, you will vote this way. And Republicans have a narrow margin. You got to remember something. In the 14th District of Georgia, this is to fill the term, right? Now, there'll be another election in May for the next upcoming Congress. And what they want is they want this guy to have the I as incumbent in May by his name, no matter who runs against him. And if he can win to fill the term, the money will pour in, and anyone that tries to primary him for the next term may be at a deficit because he'll have all kinds of money. And he will do as told. Period. This is exactly what, there's a couple reasons why, and I'll show you, that Colton Moore could not get the Trump endorsement. And I have to tell you, if I was running, this is me, if I was running, I wouldn't be knocking Donald Trump, but I would remind everybody, hey, don't forget, Donald Trump endorsed Lindsey Graham. Don't forget, Donald Trump endorsed the Republican in the Texas State Senate race that just lost to a Democrat that flipped the district by 17 points. I would, because the value. So, yes, Mike Johnson. Now, I'm going to show you, I've told you this over and over, this graphic here. At the President Trump, at the National Prayer Breakfast. Now, I will tell you this, okay? I have been through politics for so many years. I came up through the moral majority. Do you remember the moral majority? Do you remember the late Jerry Falwell out there in Virginia, right? It was at, what's the Baptist church out there? But anyhow, Jerry Falwell, the moral majority, and Pat Robertson, the 700 Club. Well, at the National Prayer Breakfast, Trump said President Trump called Thomas Massie a moron. Well, that's Trump being Trump. No, that is selective acceptance. Write that down today. That's selective acceptance. Now, if you're in a room full of pastors, evangelical ministers, whatever, that's not the setting to frame someone as a moron. It's just not. It's not. Okay? At the National Prayer Breakfast, This is what President Trump said about Thomas Massie. There's something wrong with him. We call him Rand Paul Jr. They love voting no. Well, let's do this while we're on the pick a side, because that's America today, right? Well, Donald Trump said that, so that's okay. No, it is not. Now, I understand Donald Trump has a little bit of a beef with Thomas Massie, but I'm going to show you something. That was the National Prayer Breakfast. Now, as we're talking about, he calls him, he says there's something wrong with the guy. All right? That was at the National Prayer Breakfast. He also said, hold on, let me get here. Right here. This is the same Donald Trump, president. I support the president. Somebody sent me a message the other day and said, I can't listen to you any longer. I'm tired of you attacking Donald Trump. I'm not attacking anyone. No one's attacking. I think it's time now for the country to maybe get on to something else like health care. Something that people care about. Now, this was President Trump's statement concerning Jeffrey Epstein. Now, let me take a personal point of privilege here. No, I didn't like this. This bothered me. It absolutely bothered me. You know, Saturday, I went down to watch my granddaughter play basketball. My granddaughter's 8 years old. 8 years old, right? And I sit there and I watched girls basketball, right? Granddaughter's 8 years old. I went out to lunch that day, Saturday afternoon, with my 3 granddaughters, 8, 5, and a newborn, 5 months old. No, it's not okay for the Epstein file and these scumbags and pieces of garbage to go unconvicted, untried, or revealed for who they are. It's not okay. If your daughter, your granddaughter, your sister, your mom, it doesn't matter. If a loved one was on that list, Donald Trump is not okay with saying, move on. I'm sorry, no. That might anger you. You might get upset with me. But another little point of personal privilege here. Let me see where I'm at. I have it here. Won't take me long. This is Jeffrey Epstein and Steve Bannon. Okay. Now, as I've told you many times, I refer to Steve Bannon as America's grifter in chief. Really, I do. And Elon Musk, no kidding, Epstein was working with Steve Bannon on a globalist movement before his arrest. You can't make this up. The anti-elite crusader taking advice from the most elite pedophile on earth. I'm just telling you point blank. Right? Steve Bannon? Just saying. All right? No, you can't move on. And then Elon Musk put out this weekend, he said, I will pay for the defense of anyone who speaks the truth about this and is sued for doing so. So Elon Musk came out this weekend and said, any of the victims that want to come out, right? Any of the victims that want to come out, he will pay for their defense if they're sued in any way whatsoever. So I just want to go back right here. Right there. It's time to move on. No. And where was it at? Had it just a minute ago. No, it's not time to move on. And where is the... Had it here just a second ago. The 25. We get back there. Hold on just a second. Take me just a second to get back to 25. Right there. Thomas Massie. Now, there's something wrong with him. We call him Rand Paul Jr. They love voting no. So Colton Moore is too close to Thomas Massie. Now, this one here is quite interesting. Playing the fence. This is Eric Erickson. In Georgia 14th, I'm happy to support my friend Tom Gray. So he supports his friend Tom Gray, one of the candidates. But the president actually did pick a good person in Clay Fuller to support. Eric Erickson. President Trump picked a good person. Lindsey Graham. You want to go on with the list? Trump's endorsements do not have the value any longer. They just don't. So Eric Erickson is in. Now, I'll go to my last endorsement before we wrap up the 14th. This is the next one here. Mike Collins. I'm going to tell you, this is one of the worst political mistakes. Now, Mike Collins is the front runner, wanting to be the Republican. Mike Collins wants to be the Republican nominee on the ballot for November against Jon Ossoff. All right? And Jon Ossoff and the Democrats, they want Mike Collins. They want him. Because I follow all the blue. Georgian Democrats, Blue for Georgia, you name it, I follow it all. And I read everything. You know who they're going after on a daily basis? They're going after Derek Dooley. I'll tell you why they're going after Derek Dooley. We'll get back to the 14th district, but I will tell you right now why they're going after Derek Dooley on the Senate side. It's because if Derek Dooley runs, then the Brian Kemp machine and the money will be all in. Absolutely. Now, I'm not supporting Derek Dooley. It's Brian Kemp's candidate. But if Derek Dooley runs for Senate, the Kemp machine in Georgia, the money that Kemp can pour in. But if Mike Collins, Republicans don't want to hear this, if Mike Collins is the candidate and they want to run against Mike Collins, the Kemp machine will suck completely out. They'll be gone. The Kemp machine will be totally gone. Their money will be gone. They will not be out there asking for money. Jon Ossoff will go into the W column. That's what they do. I'm here to tell you the truth. This is how it works. As soon as the primaries are over, the Senate Republican Senate Candidate Committee, Tim Scott, they start looking at all the races. Now, there's an Axios article. We'll get back to the 14th, but there's an Axios article out there right now that says Republicans could not only lose the House, they could lose the Senate. I'm just saying, it's out there. So the Republicans in the primary will look at all their candidates and where they're going to pour the money. And if Republicans think they could lose control of the Senate, Mike Johnson's going to go way down the list of money and support. Mike Collins will go way down the list of money and support. That's the way it works. Democrats want Mike Collins on that ballot. Now, this, going back to the 14th district, Mike Collins came out and endorsed Clay Fuller. This is one of the worst mistakes I've seen in politics. Because, remember, Eric Erickson, right? He's actually supporting Tom Gray in the 14th. He says Fuller's a nice guy. If Fuller goes on to win the 14th, remember there's Jim Tully, there's Colton Moore, there's Nikki Lama. The list goes on and on. Will they retaliate against Mike Collins? Because there's an old thing you say in politics, stay in your lane. So Collins made a mistake, but we know why. Now don't forget, Collins is endorsed by Turning Point Action. So is Burt Jones. Oh yes, this is really going to get interesting in Georgia. Turning Point Action, who has quiet, under the radar control of the Georgia Republican Party, has endorsed Mike Collins. And why? Why did Mike Collins endorse Clay Fuller? Number 28, Brandon Phillips. Keep that in mind, Brandon Phillips. Now, Colton Moore is not going to go away quietly. He's not going to accept that Donald Trump jumped into the race. He's not going to accept that Mike Johnson jumped into the race. He's not going to accept Jim Jordan jumped into the race. Now, he has been endorsed by several people, but this weekend, General Michael Flynn officially endorsed Colton Moore. General Flynn. And Colton Moore has posted... He's posted that he has raised $300,000. Now, I can't find that. If you can, send it to me. But he says he's raised $300,000, and he's got General Flynn's endorsement. Now, let me show you this one candidate in the 14th before we move on. Give me here, let's see, what's this one? This guy, his name is Nikki Lama. I'm officially running for Congress in the 14th District. Nikki Lama for Congress. Now, there's Colton Moore, there's Clay Fuller, there's Nikki Lama. There is the Democrat. We'll talk about that later. There's Jim Tully, and I don't give Jim Tully tells people that he is the front runner. Yes, he tells people that. But what are you going to do? That being said, this guy right here is going to make, and I'm not going to tell you he can't win. He may win, but he's going to make one heck of a congressman one day, or a U.S. senator, or maybe president. I mean, just throw it out there to have some fun. But he lives in Dalton, and he is a former Dalton City Council member. But I'm going to tell you the biggest mistake this young man made. And I say young man, he's a nice young man. His grandfather, I'll leave this hanging out here. His grandfather is Ed Painter. Ed Painter is a charter member of the 14th District. Don't forget, Tom Graves is the first congressman of the 14th. The 14th was new, created new. Tom Graves was the first congressman. This guy's grandfather, Ed Painter, one of the strongest Republican activists in the state, in the 14th District, also former 14th District Republican Party chair, Ed Painter, he's just... This guy, I went to his kickoff, and he got up there and he was talking, and he never once said his grandfather's name. I would have come right out of the box and put myself right into the 14th District that I'm Ed Painter's grandson, and he didn't do it. So, now, one more thing about the 14th before we close this up. This is Brandon Phillips. This is the guy right there. You can see him. He's talking to a guy by the door. His name's Brandon Phillips. He is on the campaign of Greg Dolezal, Greg the Weasel Dolezal. He is on the campaign of Clay Fuller there in the 14th. He's on Mike Collins' campaign, and I do hear he is calling candidates. That's what I hear. I hear this. He's calling candidates in the 14th District race, and nicely, if you know Brandon Phillips, asking them to get out of the race. Just saying. All right, so last but not least, go ask the guy questions. In the 14th District, Clay Fuller, upcoming events, Tuesday, February 10th at 6:30, Paulding and Cobb Republican Women, a candidate forum. Thursday, the 12th, right, 7 p.m., the 14th District GOP candidate forum, and Saturday, the 14th, another candidate forum. So we'll get those dates for you and put them out on our Facebook page so you know. And we will be covering those. Go ask the guy questions. Go ask him questions. So the 14th District, we're going to leave that there. But I will tell you this. To close that up. To close it up. Let me remind you of something. It's not over. No. Well, Jim Jordan endorsed. It's not over. Mike Johnson endorsed. It's not over. Donald Trump. It's not over. I'm telling you, it's really not. So, keep in mind right here. All right. John Ossoff kicked off this weekend, and John Ossoff said it's the Epstein class. It's the Epstein class. All right. Now, let's go to Rick Jackson. Let's go to the governor's race. This is Rick Jackson. He is Jackson Healthcare. He's in the race, okay? And let me just go to the candidates here briefly. There you go. And these are the candidates in the governor's race for Georgia, the primary. the primary side, Republican candidates for Georgia governor, you have Chris Carr. Now, I will show you something in a minute. There is rumor, this is politics, that Chris Carr could get out of the race. Now, I will look at the camera and tell you, I don't see a path for Chris Carr to get to get the nomination to be on the ballot for November. Now, Chris Carr, the Attorney General of Georgia, continues to tell people, right? Continues to tell people that he is the only one that can win the general election. That's his campaign strategy, that he can win. And I'll show you a couple comments he made over the weekend about actually Mora, Rick Jackson, and Burt Jones. But he has no path. He has no path. Now, next to him, businessman Clark Dean, independent. Clark Dean should be out of the race by the end of the day. He needs to just get out of the Georgia governor's race by the end of the day. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to tell you right now why he needs to. Because he got into the race, the base, the Trump base, the America First base, the base before Marjorie Taylor Greene left and went independent, whatever. But the base has been asking for an option to Burt Jones for a long time, no matter who gets mad. They have. I know for a fact. Clark Dean, some thought he might be the option when he got in, independent businessman, but I'll tell you where he went wrong in this campaign. When he got in, the only place he really campaigned, he didn't go to the base. He didn't go after Brad Raffensperger like Rick Jackson did right out of the box. He didn't go after anybody. That's okay. And then you would see social media where he was at the Atlanta Business Club, or he was at a chamber meeting, or business executives in Savannah, whatever. And yes, that's one of the Republican lanes. But you know what? It was not the base. So the base wrote Clark Dean off a long time ago. So unless Clark Dean has the kind of money and he's going to match up against Rick Jackson and he thinks he could pull some votes and help another candidate or whatever, and he's going to stay in the race just to be a plant, that's my opinion, Clark Dean should be out of the race before the end of the day. Now, Ken Yasgur over there at the far end, this is a nice guy. This is a nice guy. I'm okay. He's running for governor. It's America. I wish him well. God bless him. He is he's just an amazing fellow. You should meet him, stand and talk with him. I just really like him. Doesn't have the juice, doesn't have the money, but God bless him. He's a great guy. Now, Raffensperger. So here is what I'm hearing, and I'm watching all the narrative they're laying out, all right? Remember, we coined what we call selective acceptance. Don't forget. So Rick Jackson, he jumps in, and he goes right for Brad Raffensperger, right for the base. He throws the red meat 30-second campaign ad, right? He goes right after Burt Jones immediately. The last thing we need, we have a so-called front runner who is as lazy as the day is long. So before we get to Rick Jackson, Burt Jones, the base is hopeful, and I say this, the base is hopeful that soon and very soon, Brad Raffensperger, with everything going on with Fulton County, the ballots of 2020, the FBI, the base is hopeful that Brad Raffensperger will be indicted soon. Okay? But there is a school of thought, I don't know, should I say that? There's a school of thought out there that Rick Jackson and Burt Jones could provide a lane for Brad Raffensperger. Just saying. Just saying. That is, all right. Now, let me see here. Let me get this up and out. Chris Carr, because we're going to get to there he is. Let me get it up here on my screen so I can read it. I don't think your vote is for sale. That's Chris Carr. All right. Then he went on to say, and this is Greg Bluestein with the AJC, Attorney General Chris Carr's line of attack now that there are really rich guys in the Georgia governor race. They're trying to buy their way into the governor's mansion. I don't think your vote's for sale. He also makes it clear he's all in the race. Now, okay, I don't know if he's just regrouping or what, but he says he's all in. Now, this is tomorrow night. Muskogee County Republican Party. Join us Tuesday, February 10th. Chris Carr and Steve Gooch running for lieutenant governor. Those will be our guests, right? But wait a minute. Just this morning, now, update to the Muskogee County GOP meeting tomorrow night. Chris Carr dropped out. Now, we're not saying Chris Carr dropped out of the race, but he dropped out. Muskogee, new update, Muskogee County Republican Party. The only speaker tomorrow night will be Steve Gooch running for lieutenant governor. So, Chris Carr did exit Muskogee County Republican Party for tomorrow night. Just saying, we're putting that out there. Now, let's get back to number one here. Rick Jackson. Now, he gets in the race. He's a billionaire. Actually, now there's an ethics complaint filed, right? This is Georgians for Integrity, paid for by Georgians for Integrity, Inc. Now, I want you to pay attention to something here. This is the group, the dark money group. And by the way, politics is $1 trillion industry now. It really is. And these people have political careers, and they're all about their political future. It's not about saving the country. Quit thinking this is about doing the right thing, the republic for which it stands, the Constitution, our founding fathers. Stop thinking that. It's their political career, their political future, and they all are furthering themselves some way. Now, that being said, Georgians for Integrity spent what? $14 million attacking who? Burt Jones. Now, there's something I want you to pay attention to. It hasn't been a little over a week ago. It hasn't been just a little over a week ago that I was getting, and you were getting, Georgians for Integrity text messages. The TV was running, you can't keep up with the Joneses. Then, Rick Jackson, I'm just saying, it's a coincidence. Rick Jackson enters the governor's race. Can you tell me, since Rick Jackson, about a week before he entered the governor's race, if you've received any more text or seen any more commercials loaded up from Georgians for Integrity attacking Burt Jones? Now, there's claims out there, not fact, and no one has come out and said Yes, it is actually Rick Jackson, but there's a lot of smoke behind. Hey, did Rick Jackson or someone surrounding him have something to do with the $14 million? So, Rick Jackson gets into the race. I mean, very smart campaign. And just like that, there's new polling. Just like that, millions of dollars worth of ad buys. Just like that, social media is blowing up with the ground game from Burt Jones campaign of everybody. I know the ones on there. They're on there. Oh, this guy likes Nikki Haley and this guy likes, Jeff Duncan. I voted for Jeff Duncan. You voted for Jeff Duncan. You know you did. This guy likes Jeb Bush. Donald Trump likes Lindsey Graham. Anyhow, so, all right. Now, I'm going to say this because it's politics. Burt Jones's campaign has shown their hand. They have. Either they were not prepared for this. There's a couple things here. Either Rick Jackson's campaign really, really caught Burt Jones' campaign team off guard. It's interesting because either it was the best kept secret in politics or the Burt Jones campaign heard about it and didn't take it serious. Now, I sent Burt Jones' campaign a message 6 months ago. I'm just throwing out 6 months ago, but I'll look you in the eye and tell you. And I said in the message, the base is looking for an alternative. Now, I'm going to get pushback and people attack me, people angry, but the facts are just this. Burt Jones, with the data centers, with some of the legislation that has taken place that seems to be enriching his family, one thing after another, he is now finding, him and his friend Greg Dolezal, what I call finding religion, or they're back at the altar of election integrity. They've had their chance. So the base, there's a lot of people in the base that have been looking for an alternative. And I told them that. So either totally caught off guard, I'm going to go through some of these. Here is Burt Jones, Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones' plan. This is a plan to phase out Georgia's personal income tax, would eliminate more than $1 billion of tax breaks for everything from data centers to insurance companies to medical equipment. Let's see, what is in there that I would pick apart? Data centers. Oh, his father on Bill Jones' property, they're building data centers. Let's see, what else? Oh, Burt Jones has an insurance company. Medical equipment. Are they not? Did Bill Jones not, just a question mark, lease his property to a hospital to be built? So he is putting up the, I'm pushing back about the three things you think, I don't know, just saying. Pay attention. This is politics. Then, this was Saturday. We're hard at work across Georgia this weekend, putting up signs and building momentum. Georgia doesn't need a show horse. It needs a workhorse. Workhorse. If you're with us Let's get after it. Let's get after it. Now, these are all the things request a sign. So let's see what I might pull out of this. So if somebody makes the accusation you're lazy. Now, Rick Jackson did not say Burt Jones is lazy. Rick Jackson said we have a so-called front runner, that would be Burt Jones, that is as lazy as the day is long. So if you're responding, the Jones campaign is really responding, right? So if you're out there and you're taking pictures of yourself, you're a real go-getter. Hustle, right? No grass is growing under our feet. I'm a workhorse, not a show horse. Because the last thing I am is lazy. Every one of these, I could pick out every response. Hey, we got to get out there and address being called lazy, right? I'm just saying. Now, here's another one. Proud of work done to support Georgia families, especially our most vulnerable children in foster care. February 6th. Since creating the Senate Children and Families Committee, we've passed 20 bills with bipartisan support, and work continues. Now, I can't say that 2026 is the year of political stunts. And I can't say that they're happy that there's a guy like me out here that could read every single thing they put up and pull out, right? Pull out here and here the political manipulation that they intend to get you to, wow, that's going in the ear, going in the brain. Families, vulnerable, foster care. Rick Jackson, his opponent with others, grew up in foster care. Wow. So, let's go here. This guy, if you're looking for Brett Cox, he happens to, his office in the Georgia State Senate is probably in one of the broom closets. So Brett Cox, he's actually the state senator, Georgia State Senator over there in the Alpharetta area, Forsyth. And he endorsed Rick Jackson, who is in Forsyth, for governor. Let's see what we have here. So I would say, now, number 8, Turning Point. Charlie Kirk built a powerful legacy with Turning Point Action, and I'm honored to have Turning Point Action's endorsement in our race for governor. Now, let me just say this, okay? Let me say this. There's no post and no actual quote that they have endorsed. This is only my opinion, but I was at the Burt Jones kickoff with Sally Grubbs, Burt Jones, Greg Dolezal, right? Turning Point Action members, and Josh McCoon, the chairman of the Georgia GOP. It's in my firm opinion the Georgia GOP is 100% because I see all the people that are attacking Rick Johnson. And they're in the party loop that are attacking Rick Johnson. And Josh McCoon always, the chairman of the Georgia Republican Party, always does things with the kindest plausible deniability. Oh, yes, he's always such kind and nice, professional, behind the scenes with that plausible deniability. So, Burt Jones has got Turning Point USA. Now, number 9. Rick Jackson campaign for governor resets fight for MAGA base in Georgia. Okay? Now, these are the headlines. Ripple effect. A post-Jackson order is beginning to emerge in Georgia's Republican race for governor, with the billionaire healthcare executive now going toe-to-toe with Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones for the MAGA base. That leaves Attorney General Chris Carr and Secretary of State, quietly rooting for a MAGA civil war. So there's a thought that this could split MAGA. Donald Trump endorsed Lindsey Graham. Might I remind you of that a million times? Selective acceptance. But Brad Raffensperger, if not indicted, that's what they talk about, right? So let's keep on. A post-Rick Jackson order is beginning to emerge, right? The shift, the new poll. So a new poll came out, and it has already got it's already got the Burt Jones camp in an uproar. Now, I follow all the Burt Jones camp, okay? And ever since Rick Jackson announced, they have been in an uproar. I know all the Republican Party connectors all across the state, 2nd District, 1st District, 14th, whoever they are. And I see all the attacks on Rick Jackson. A poll came out this morning. A dynamic is already showing up in the numbers. A poll released this morning, the first since Jackson's surprise entry, found Jones leading the GOP field with 22%. Now, let me say something here while we have that. There has always been the undecided. Now, I have the tape going back. You remember all too many times when I told you Marjorie Taylor Greene had a lane. We'll talk about that on another day, why Marjorie did not get in the race. Yes, she did plan, but she did not. But all the polling, that's why the undecided, I kept telling you over and over, the base is looking for another candidate, whether that makes you mad or not. There's always been that big block that was hanging out there that Burt Jones could not close. So 22% is Burt Jones' number in this poll of 600. Now, we're not saying this poll is the greatest, most accurate piece of information out there. No. But Jackson was close behind. Now, Jackson, according to this poll, has jumped up to 16%, followed by Raffensperger at 10 and Carr at 7. The poll is 600. Now, there's a couple notes here. This poll shows Jackson already at 16. And it shows Raffensperger at 10. Now, keep this in mind. What took place in Fulton County? The ballots, the FBI serving a warrant, everything that's taken place in Fulton County should have finished Raffensperger off. In fact, Carr should have come in ahead of Raffensperger, Brad, Secretary of State. But he's still, after all that damage, is holding on to 10. Now, I'm not saying this is the most accurate poll. Now, we're going to wrap up the governor's race with this right here, okay? There is Burt Jones' first ad buy. You ready? The first ad buy that the Jones campaign put out. Listen to this right here.
Georgia is Trump country, and today, breaking news.
Donald Trump is weighing in on the 2026 race for governor, throwing his support behind Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. Burt Jones for governor has my complete and total endorsement. He will never let you down.
And just like President Trump, Burt Jones has a plan that dramatically cuts your taxes.
He's going to make a great, great governor. He has my complete and total endorsement. You will be very happy, Georgia.
Georgia is Trump country, and today, breaking news.
All right. Very first ad buy the Jones campaign put out was to remind people he is the Trump-endorsed candidate. That is bad. That is bad. The very first ad that Burt Jones campaign, let me keep saying it, put out was to remind people I'm the Donald Trump endorsed candidate. Don't get confused by it. Yes, don't get confused by it. Also, don't forget, Donald Trump endorsed Lindsey Graham. So the Burt Jones campaign, I did a segment Friday. About property tax, and the political stunt of property tax and the political stunt of income tax in Georgia. We'll get back into that here in the next day or two. But Burt Jones's campaign, the very first thing they had to do is take out an ad buy reminding you he got endorsed by Donald Trump. Not good. Not good. So, quite an interesting race. We'll see what Rick Jackson, how he responds this week. Was the announcement a flash? Now, he has hired some people in his campaign. I'm not going to go into that right now. But he's hired some people in his campaign that actually send a signal saying, I'm serious. Now, there's one other, I think, problem that Burt Jones has that he should separate right now. In my opinion, I'm going to give it to you. All right? You see, this is Fulton County, Georgia Chair Rob Pitts. All right? He got tipped off 3 days. He got tipped off 3 days before the raid. All right? Now, they are, when I say they are worshiping at the altar of election integrity. And I'm going to say something that's going to upset people, but then again, that's who I am. So let me put this out right here, okay? So this guy right here, my sources tell me the Justice Department has already or will be getting warrants for Pitt's phone records to uncover who leaked, all right? This is the Rob Pitts, Fulton County Chair. Most of us feel he should be in prison, right? Now, we don't feel Rob Pitts should be in prison or indicted, tried, convicted just last week. No. But see, this is recent. This is only a couple months old. This is not years, right? And wait a minute. Where's it at? Hold on just a second. I have a little error here. I made a mistake. I forgot to do something here. We'll get to it in just a second. Stay with me. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to find it. Now, the last of today's segment is going to be very brief. Hold on, I had it here a minute ago. Here it is. I'm sorry. There he is, Rob Pitts. That's Rob Pitts. Rob Pitts is the chairman of Fulton County. All right. Now, that's Greg Dolezal. That's Greg the Weasel Dolezal. Greg the Weasel Dolezal. Now, I'm going to show you something. All right. I don't like political stunts. I don't. I do not like what these guys are doing. All right. Now, here is, you can't count. Here's Senator running for lieutenant governor, right? You can't count an illegal ballot 10 times, over 10,000 times. It's still illegal. Fulton County's elections are a disgrace. Glad the FBI is here to uncover the truth. Now, he's all over the media. This is Greg the Weasel Dolezal. He is all over. He's anywhere that'll listen to him. And he is now back worshiping at the altar of election integrity. Now, for those of you out there that understand this, because I, your host, I've had to do it myself. But there's that day that you went to the altar, right? And you laid your, just bared all to your Lord and Savior at the altar. And then you go out there and you kindly forget that day. Now, wait a minute, I'll speak for myself. You kindly forget that day and you get out there and you're doing this and you're doing that and you might do this and do that. And then there's a day where you realize, I need to get back to that altar. Well, I've got to go back and recommit myself. I need to go back. I'm a backslider. That's who he is. I knew I'd come to my term I wanted. Greg the Weasel is an election integrity backslider who found religion and went and is now worshiping at the altar of election integrity anywhere he can go. Got it? Now, there he is. He's out there, right? And he said, Fulton County. But there he is with Rob Pitts. All right, Rob Pitts. Then, can't make this up. I'm going to throw something out you're not going to like. There he is with his friend. That's what he says. Hey guys, Greg Dolezal here with my good friend, Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones. There he is, Greg the Weasel, chairman of the Transportation Committee with Burt Jones. Now, it's politics. So there's the little phone rumor circle going around. And you know what that is? That Burt Jones may have, I don't know if he called, but he may be talking to people about supporting Greg Dolezal. Yes, financially. That's, you just hear things. You just hear things, you know. They are now worshiping back at the altar of election integrity the backsliding Republicans. Oh, I got to get away from this. Now, let's take that down for now. So, let's go. All right, Super Bowl, let's see, what do we want now? 14th District runoff. Let me give you State Senate 51. All right, State Senate 51. Now, let me say this. Currently, the state senator in Georgia, 51, is Steve Gooch. But he is running for lieutenant governor. So, this guy here, let me find him. I'll just put this up and we'll be working on this in the next couple. We'll be following this race, State Senate 51. Right there, all right? Now, this is Will Wade. Now, Will Wade, he is the Georgia State House 8th District Representative, Will Wade. So, Will Wade for State Senate, endorsed by all 7 sheriffs. So, he said, hey, he's endorsed by Pickens County Sheriff Donnie Craig. I got to call Donnie Craig. I owe him a phone call. I told him I'd call him. Anyhow, Pickens County Sheriff Donnie Craig, Dawson County Sheriff Jeff Johnson, Lumpkin County Sheriff Stacy Gerard, White County Sheriff Rick Kelly, Fannin County Sheriff Dane Kirby, Union County Sheriff Sean Dyer, and we'll jump back at the top to Gilmer County Sheriff Stacy Nicholson. Now, this is State Senate 51, right? State Senate 51. Will Wade is running. He put this out saying he had all 7 sheriffs' endorsement, all right? Well, this guy, Philip Milam, I'm announcing my candidacy for Georgia State Senate. I'm in. I'm running for State Senate 51. Philip Milam, State Senate. Well, wait a minute. That's Stacy Nicholson. That's the sheriff of Gilmer County, the high sheriff of Gilmer County. Happy to share this news. Philip is a former prosecutor, assistant district attorney of Dawson County, and son of late Chief Superior Court Judge Bobby Milam. So wait a minute. Dawson County assistant district attorney? Now this is the sheriff of Gilmer County, so he comes off that endorsement list, right? He comes off the endorsement list. Boom. Man. And guess what? Will Wade is having several people that said they would back him that have already jumped ship. So keep an eye on State Senate 51 against Will Wade here and Philip Milam. All right, let's get that one out of the way. Now, just a quick reminder, all of these great jungle primaries, right? Just a minute here. So, let's go to District 18. We have a runoff February. Right here, February 17th. Now, keep in mind, we have these runoffs. Why? Why do we have these runoff elections in Georgia? Because we have these jungle primaries. Because Democrats now think they stand a chance and think they might win the 14th. Brown McNeil advanced to runoff in Georgia Senate District 18. So here is the Republican. This is vote Steve McNeil. Republican runoff election February 17th. Early voting starts the 7th, right, in Monroe and the 9th district-wide. So today is the first day of early voting for this district, 18, down there to replace John Kennedy, who's running for lieutenant governor. Jungle primary. But Democrats, he's running against a Democrat. They think they have a chance. Wow. Republicans. All right. Last one today is the 11th district. So let me make sure. Here's my last Last one of the day is 11th District. Now, Barry Loudermilk is not running for re-election. So let me get this out here. He's not running for re-election. Said he's retiring. Okay, good for Congressman Barry Loudermilk. But that leaves the district open. And they cannot stand, I mean, they really can't. They can't stand when, let's put it like this. They can't stand when I explain to you or I can filter through and get you the truth. Now, let me just show you, okay? Ready? I'm going to put Marjorie Taylor Greene up tomorrow. We're going to show you that tomorrow. But anyhow, so the first declared candidate in the race of the 11th District was Christopher Mora. Christopher Mora, former first vice chair of the Georgia 11th District Republican Party, I think. Former two-term chair of the Pickens County Republican Party was Christopher Mora. Now, the AJC, let me tell you what they're doing here. They won't acknowledge Christopher Moore is in the race, and I'm going to tell you why. Campaign Watch. Count Republican Senate Ed Setzler out. So Ed Setzler, Republican senator in that area, state senator, said, I'm not running. No, count me out. Retired U.S. Representative Barry Loudermilk, Setzler told us Sunday that while Washington needs to be profoundly reformed, a bid for Congress is not in his path forward. So they reached out to him. They won't reach out to Christopher Moore. I'm going to explain this. 11th District. That takes a big name off the board for the GOP leaning seat. So it is leaning. The 11th District is a Republican district. But the AJC would love to do what they could to move it into the Democrat column. I will explain. They'd like to play their part. That takes a big name off the board for a GOP-leaning seat, which stretches from Atlanta's north edges to rural northwest Georgia. That'd be Pickens. Much of the focus is now on Brandon Beach, and former state senator who is now the U.S. Treasurer in Trump's administration. So they're waiting to see if Brandon Beach wants to be the congressman. But on here is Marjorie Taylor Greene. Why? It's the 11th District. Why put Marjorie Taylor Greene up? As a reminder, and that's Dr. Cowan. Dr. John Cowan is running to replace Barry Loudermilk. Now, Dr. John Cowan ran against Marjorie Taylor Greene. Dr. John Cowan got into a runoff in the first term, in the first election. Marjorie Taylor Greene won. Dr. John Cowan got in a runoff. So Dr. John Cowan is running to replace Barry Loudermilk in Congress. Now, what they want you to know is Dr. John Cowan is more of an establishment, moderate. Maybe he's a Mitt Romney type guy. Cowan lost in 2020 to Marjorie Taylor Greene, now former congressman. So here's what they're doing in the 11th District. They're begging Brandon Beach to run and get Trump's endorsement, right? That's one side. And the AJC will not acknowledge Christopher Moore in the race. And here's exactly why. Cherokee County is an enormous county. I mean, they're building apartment projects. I was in Cherokee Saturday. They're building apartment projects by the thousands. And I mean thousands there. And it's right on that edge right there of Atlanta. And Cherokee County has had a couple of their precincts, their voting precincts, go blue recently. And there's concern that Democrats are making headway in Cherokee County. In fact, right, is it Dixon that won the state Senate seat right there? North Fulton, Cherokee County, that a Democrat had to pay $1 million? So, the 11th district is a Republican district, and the AJC wants to do everything to hide a good, conservative, constitutionalist Republican for the 11th district. They want to hide this guy, and they want to highlight like Dr. Cowan. They want to highlight someone that could be really challenged. I mean, the base is not going to come out for Dr. Cowan in the general election. They're not going to do it. They didn't do it in the 11th district when he ran against Marjorie Taylor Greene. They're not going to do it now. But the AJC will promote him unless Brandon Beach gets in. That's another something we'll talk about later. Brandon Beach is not a conservative, by the way. But that being said, the AJC is hiding this guy, will not acknowledge him in any of their articles, will not talk to him at all, because they want to keep this away from the voters, Christopher Mora running in the 11th district, so they can help promote a Democrat to make this district very challenging. And if it's very challenging for Dr. Cowan, keep this in mind, and maybe the base doesn't come out, a Democrat challenger to Dr. Cowan could help the Democrat candidate for governor and Jon Ossoff. Oh, yes, there's a method to their madness. So watch the 11th district. They will not acknowledge Chris Moore for a reason. Let's see what else I have here before I go. Let me see if there's anything else before I go. Let's go here. I want to remind you, ICE to begin detaining immigrants, illegals in Social Circle warehouse in April. Homeland Security plans to build warehouse detention facilities in other cities being met by opposition. This is a big building they have purchased. See that building? Social Circle? Oh, yeah. And let's see what else I have here. Make sure I haven't forgotten something. Let me go through my notes. Super Bowl, Bad Bunny, ICE, detention, Trump's not on the ballot, the Epstein class, Jon Ossoff said that. Let's see. Let me take that down, put this up. And folks, let me get one more here. Sorry about that. Let me get this in place here. Selective acceptance. Selective acceptance. We'll be back tomorrow. I don't know what time. Look for, I'm your host, BKP, right? You can email me, bkp at bkppolitics.com. You can text me, 706-889-9700, right? Follow us on Facebook, Voice of Rural America, Rumble channel, Voice of Rural America, YouTube, Voice of Rural America. You can follow us on all of those. X, Voice of Rural America. Substack, VORA, VORA, at BKP Politics. Don't miss. Send me messages, whatever. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm your host, BKP. Enjoy the weather. It's 60 degrees. Monday, 2/9/2026. It's just politics, folks. Don't get upset with me. I'll see you maybe sometime tomorrow.
What happens in Georgia gets revealed one by one as the facts are unsealed. From the pit comes what they don't want you to see. When the daily nugget of truth is dropped with your host, BKP.